Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back. Looking ahead, series where I break down and analyze the meta, what's happening over Japan, and how it impacts on. Today, I'm breaking out everything that's happened in the Japan Championships this past weekend, where Rachel absolutely dominated over there, taking the first place, as well as also a fourth placement as well, from the likes of a Marnie's Grimmsnarl. So it's obviously a very, very powerful archetype right now. What makes this tournament so exciting, it was set in our Worlds format. Black Ball and White Flare were legal for this tournament, so of all these people who've qualified for Worlds in the past 2 weeks, this is a very, very important video to see exactly what the meta potentially could look like at Worlds in just a few months' time. We also got a reveal of some brand new cards as well, some more mega cards, which I'm quite excited. We say goodbye to the Scar Dinosaur block and the Megasaur block. It's looking very, very game changing. There's also breaking down the rest of the meta game, my thoughts and feelings, but also the structure of this tournament, and it was very different to normally most of the Pokemon the Champions League happening over Japan. Just say thank you so much for supporting the channel the past few weeks. It's been absolutely incredible. And without further ado, let's jump right into the brand new cards got revealed. So I want to touch on briefly the Mega Gardevoir and Mega Lucario before we see the rest of the new cards. I think they actually gained some new support. Now, these cards were revealed back in Pokemon Day, back over in February, and honestly, I still think they're very powerful. It could easily be topped up to the Tier 1 table, especially Mega Gardevoir after having the absolute tear Gardevoir EX has been going in, and there's an instant inclusion in this one. Two very, very powerful attacks. The first one gets you to attach a Psychic Energy from your deck to all of your bench Pokemon, one each, which is very, very powerful, which fuels up its other attack 50 times the amount of Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon in play. If all of your Pokemon in play have one Psychic Energy, that's 300 damage. Chuck at least two more in there, that's 400. That carries pretty much everything in the format. That's absolutely incredibly powerful. Mega Lucario X is an instant muscle energy acceleration for fighting type Pokemon, or a jab for one fighting energy of 130 damage. It's attached up to three basic fighting energies from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon any way you like. Let's not forget, we also have the brand new sort of item card which makes fighting Pokemon's attack do 30 more damage. Also, you play two of these, 100 damage for one fighting energy and instantly accelerate three energies. Very, very powerful. The other attack, Mega Braid, 170 damage, can't attack next turn. We've seen this attack multiple times. This basically seems like this is Cynthia's Garchomp EX, but better. And that's a little bit of a down because I really, really love Cynthia's Garchomp, but I can see it's been a much sort of strongest sort of fighting Pokemon we've seen in such a long time. Now we did get two new Mega Pokemon got revealed, and one thing I always need to remember about this one, they are free prize Pokemon. So none of the two prizes, they are free prizes. So obviously they could be much, much powerful than the predecessor of their two prize EX Pokemon. And Mega Venusaur EX is a good example of this one, with 380 HP. You check a cape on this one, this has 480 HP. That is so close to 500, which is absolutely insane right now. And has a very good sort of ability, Solar Trans. As many times as you like during your turn, you may move one basic grass energy from one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. Now, we've seen this ability before, things like of Aromaties, Armories right now, moving them to the Access block. This, I think, is a very, very good sort of play. If we think about the box of support right now, we've seen some really good ones. The Ho-Oh sort of box, as well as also the Omega one. This is exactly what Grass needs. Grass is one of the best energy acceleration. Look at Tiamat's Ogapon, a Drapple, as well as also most recently, yeah, Mega EX. We can flood the board with a ton of energies, and Mega Venusaur could be the good source of energy to move around those energies. That could be Prism energies, Luminous energies. All of a sudden, you can have these huge one-hit KO Boxer style decks, especially after turn 2, flood the board with potentially 8 or 10 sort of energies, and you've got a lot to play with it. Got some new sort of healing cards got revealed, so I think this could be a lot of good sort of play. The attack isn't very powerful. There's also another thing which I think would really work with Mega Venusaur EX, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. And then Mega Latias EX. 280 HP basic Pokemon gives up free prizes. Team Rocket's Mewtwo was definitely the blueprint for this card. This is absolutely insane. So much HP and a lot to deal with this one. So attack strength does 40 damage and switches from the bench, which switches to one of your bench Pokemon. Doesn't seem really that much damage compared to its other attack. For a Fire, Psychic, and Colorless Energy, 300 damage, discard all energies from this Pokemon. That is absolutely insane. You check out Crispin in this build, and all of a sudden, you just are one energy short away from attacking on your first turn, going second, do 300 damage. You can have Pumas Ogapon. You can have the likes of Ethan's Ho-Oh to flood the board with a lot of energies. And there's a Latias as well, Latios, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, literally in a few seconds, which actually can move around some energies. All of a sudden, you can constantly streamline this huge amount of damage every single turn and pretty much kill everything in the format, especially on your first turn going second. The only thing this attack pretty much would not kill is potentially opposing Mega Latias or a Team Rocket's Mewtwo X with a cape, which is insane to think about. People won't be playing this one, but that's just something to think about. How powerful this Mega Latias really will be. This could definitely be one of the big powerhouse attacking decks. Now, we did see some good support to go with all of these ones. We've got this new Curlier, which I think is finally the Curlier which we've needed. One of the likes of the Refinement, the Mirage Tab, we finally seen the Call Sign Curlier. 100 HP, so that's very, very relevant. And like gets out of that 90 HP sort of damage, sort of, which we've kind of been used to a lot. And Call Sign, search deck for up to 3 Pokemon, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. This I think is good. Now, normally you won't be having a Curlier and attacking this one. You're doing the Team Evolution or the Rare Candy, but this build can get your Gardevoir, your Mega Gardevoir, your Munkidori, your other support like Screamtail, Drifloon. This could be seen a pretty good sort of support factor which the deck desperately needs. Hariyama is also a card which I think is kind of confirming that we've taken a bite to boss's orders and Destiny supporter cards. We've now seen it has the ability exactly the same as we've had Hops Rulu literally 2 sets ago. It'll be when you evolve as a Pokemon from your hand to one of your Pokemon, you get to gust one of your opponent, bring one of your opponent's bench Pokemon into the active. This I think is obviously very, very powerful. We've seen this a very, very good success, likes of the Luxray GL level X, Lycanroc GX. We saw it in Moonbryon as well, like the Umbreon VMAX had that sort of effect, and we've seen it constantly be used. So it's nice to see it's going to be on these single prize stage on Pokemon. It's mainly the own gusting effect, so it's definitely something we need to think about. Now I talked about Venusaur being very, very powerful. Think about Bulbasaur as well. Think about copying this attack. Write down 10 damage during your opponent's next turn. That Pokemon can't retreat. Now I mentioned before having the Cape of Toughness added, right? Hero's Cape, having all these sort of stuff attached to this one, copying it with Relicanth, all of a sudden you can have a Mega Venusaur with nearly 500 HP, trapping anything in the active spot. Put it in perspective, the only way to guarantee KO it, if you think about like an Epis Typhlosion, which actually hits you for weakness, if they have 3 Epis in the discard pile, plus the Silver Bank, Gold Bangle, they're doing exactly 480 damage to get the KO, which is absolutely insane that even though deck hits for weakness, needs nearly every single thing to go right to actually one-hit KO a Mega Venusaur EX with a cape. Just want to mention that as well. That could be a fun sort of deck to play around when we could see still. We've got this new Wally card again, talking about very briefly, which can actually work with healing stuff. Or put the energy back in your hand and then you instantly put it out because only one energy. Again, something to really think about as well, about a different way of how we could play these Mega Pokemon. And I quite like that. We have Latios as well, with that Luster Assault. Once during your turn, when your Mega Latios EX move from the bench to the active spot, you may move any number of energy cards from your bench Pokemon to that Pokemon. Like I mentioned before, the Tilma Ogopon, the Ethan's Ho-Oh, lots of the energies can put around EXP chair, and so they can move straight to Latias, and they can pretty much turn to turn to turn to 300 damage, K pretty much every single thing in the format, which is absolutely terrifying. That's an archetype. And we did get some new trainer cards got revealed. We saw the Mega Signal, which is search deck for 1 Mega of Evolution Pokemon EX. Reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. We've seen this gimmick called multiple times. I think like Cherish Pool, search deck for a GX. More recently, Terra Orb, search deck for Terra Pokemon. Now we've got the Mega Signal. It's going to be some play. Some decks like have the discarding factor, where some we might want to not want to have that one. It could be some play. Figure right now, you wouldn't really have this in your Gardevoir deck because they will like to have some discard because it works with Gardevoir EX. Latias already has access to the likes of a Nestball, so you might not need that natural effect, but some of our archetypes for the future makers need to see, I could definitely see it have some effect. Now, Lily's Determination is the draw card which we've needed for a very long time. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. If you have 6 prize cards remaining, draw 8 cards instead. Now, it's a combination of Cynthia and Lily from the Sun and Moon era. For those who don't know, Cynthia lets with a shuffle your hand in, draw 6, and this was one of the strongest draw supporters back in the day, and will cost you nearly £10 to get that one copy of the card, which is crazy to think about how different we're in the format right now. Or Lily, which was great because you could draw 8 cards on your first, or at least your first turn, if you play sport during your first turn, which is absolutely insane. And I really like it's got that nice little callback. Now, it looks like we are saying goodbye to Research and Iono in a couple months time next sort of year when we get rotation. So it's good we have a good sort of new sort of draw support. So we see Wally's Compassion, which is basically a really good healing factor for Mega Pokemon. Heal all damage from one of your Mega Evolved Pokemon EX. If you do, put all energies attached to that Pokemon back into your hand. Now, if we look right now, just going back to the Megas, we can see here, like I copied some of them, your maximum you can put in the hand is 2. That just discards everything. Mega Gardevoir only has 1. And if we go with the sort of the Soul Factor or Mega Venus will only have 1. So effectively, they can instances here that put energy straight back. It's very, very scary. We haven't seen the remaining of the Megas, so definitely something to be considered about. And a card which caused a lot of debate over on Twitter. This is Mysterious Garden, because people are saying this is a huge buff for Gardevoir, but also I think it's a good one-off in some Gardevoir decks. Once you're in a turn, that player may discard 1 energy from their hand. If they do, they may draw any cards in their hand until they equal to the amount of psychic Pokemon they have in play. However, they normally will play everything psychic except like a Pheasantipity or a Budew. So effectively, they have like all psychic Pokemon in play. It basically is their Ruin's ability. The Scarlet Psychic Energy drawn to have 6 cards in hand. This is very, very powerful, especially if you get this one off. This is the good draw support it really needs. Now, Carnival really loves having the likes of Artisan to be that disruptive sort of, not disruptive, just searching sort of factor. And that's really what this deck really capitalizes on. Or if it wants to be disruptive, it's going to play the likes of a Team Rocket's Watchtower. But this Mysterious Garland could be a really good draw support, what Gardevoir desperately needs at times. So overall, I know I talked about it a lot. I think the new set is really, really exciting. There is a lot of potential. We're seeing a huge shakeup to the metagame. Obviously, we're going shifting now to free prize Pokemon. I hope we still see some single prizes or even the 2 prizes actually still keeping the metagame, like Dragapult, like Ether Cyclosion. But honestly, this set here is actually quite exciting overall. But now let's actually look at the Japan Championships, see the tournament structure, because it's very different to how it normally goes with. Now, it's still the classic two-day event. You can change the deck in between this one, but day one was 10 rounds, best of one, 30 minutes. That's quite a lot of rounds to go over, and to advance to day two, you need a record of 8-2 or better. And there's no ties in this one, so you really have to play a lot of fast decks. And a big sort of thing you can see on stream, as well as looking around the tournament, and people who switch decks, everyone was playing Raging Bolt on day one because it was so fast, so aggressive, and constantly could win in that best of one scenario. And then day two consisted of only 4 rounds, but the record continued over from day one into day two, which is great. I really like that sort of thing. And it was a best of three. And I've had a really interesting sort of way how they awarded points. If you won 2-0, you get awarded 5 points. If you won 3-2-1, you get 4 points. And if it's like a unintentional draw, you can get a certain number of points in other sort of ways. And there was only a top 8 cut. Another thing is about this one, top 8 was not streamed. Neither was top 4. We got like half of the top 4 game because it was really focusing on the seniors and juniors as well. So we could see there exactly the final rounds. We didn't see a lot of the tournament, but watching throughout the day, I'm going to mention a bit later on, there is so much Gardevoir in day 2 and so much Raging Bolt in day 1. Play that as you like, but I think preparing for tournament, there are some really good sort of consistency cards to really think about in both of those decks. And if we look at some of the results right now, the player base looking online, there's about 2,394 players, which is quite a smaller number to what we used to see. But obviously, you have to get the invite for the Japan Championships. So it's a little bit different than Champions League, which is normally always about like that big 5,000. And of course, it was won by a Raging Bolt, beating likes of Marnie's Grimmsnarl. And it was a really interesting sort of game. It really showcased how powerful hand disruption was. If you people go, why on earth are you playing Judge in your Raging Bolt decks over likes of Iono? Just watch the third game because it really showcased how powerful Judge is as a disruption card over likes of Iono. Iono gets out 2 more cards. They already have the bad hands at the bottom of the deck. They shuffle it in and they did shuffle quite a long shuffle and they was basically top decking. So it's really interesting to see. And the Raging Bolt player actually did win against the Raging Bolt in top 4. So it was good to see exactly some other sort of a matchup as well. And some of the builds as well, which I kind of saw online. Charizard deck did get a top 8 and top 16 was a Golden Goat and Dragapult Blaziken, which I mentioned a few weeks ago is actually quite a lot of fun. So also some other things as well. Quite a few Gardevoir decks were in the top 16. Some Gardevoir decks were also in top 32, but none of the lists have really been showcased. So right now, I want to look at some of the top lists all the way up to top 64, of which have been posted over on Twitter, and just give my thoughts and feelings about this one in this brand new format. So of course, let's look at the winning sort of Raging Bolt deck. And the first thing you'll notice in here, there is no Noctowl. There is no Fan Rotom. It is purely just a straight the Raging Bolt build, which has always kind of been preaching for the last few weeks, being this is the best way to play this one, and is absolutely showcased this one. Before people go over, oh, but Charlie's Japan, they play best of one. Nope, this person played this one in a best of 3 format and went 14-0, effectively going for everything 17-0 in all the whole tournament. So didn't lose a single game with this build of Raging Bolt. This is pretty much going to be one of the best Raging Bolt decks there is. So definitely if you want to be playing Raging Bolt, this is the build you want to play this one. And there's already a few interesting things. To Mew, because you want to have as much draw support as possible. You always have the baby Raging Bolt, because it's powerful for that bench typing capability and that Shenpao. I mentioned before at NEIC, if you're playing some decks which needs to have that disruptive, play Shenpao. And they play it really interestingly. But they play this one to bump their own area 0. Because they have a lot of walkability, a lot of high very easy KOs like the high cancer walkability, the Mew EX, the Pheasantipity. You can play the Shenpao and bump your own sort of stadium, and they actually get rid of 3 sort of liability EXs one. Then also you now have your main sort of attackers one, or some single prizes, and not have any of these big sort of scary 2 prize liabilities on the board. Some other key cards as well, which you really think about, this one does have the Iron Leaves, help with like the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, which we didn't really seek some sort of success, but always seen the Charizard as well, having a good sort of two prizes, get an instant one-hit kill. But there's also some corner store plays as well. Just move it into the active spot straight away and not worry about anything having get stuck in there. Also, 3 Crispin is quite high. We normally see like 1 or 2. So definitely really valuing like some Crispin. And we really saw it have great success for Earth and Vessel. So a lot of really capitalized on the strong consistency. And I really, really enjoy this Racing Bolt deck. I definitely think this is one of the best sort of builds. If you want to be testing for worlds, definitely go for this sort of build as well. I think it's really powerful, really strong, and definitely something you should be thinking about going forward. Now, the second place, Marnie's Grimmsnarl list, it did only play one new card from Black and White set. Well, the other one didn't. It did just play out one copy of Air Balloon, giving pretty much effectively your Grimmsnarl a free retreat, which is exactly what you need, and not worrying and discarding 2 of your darkness energies. So again, most of it's one here. Nothing too different to where we're seeing most of the Miles Grimmsnarl decks kind of build around this one. I like having a Blood Moon Luna, and it saw how great and powerful it is in that sort of game. It comes out of nowhere, 240 damage, or move around some energies in Monkey Dory. You get these huge one-hit KOs, which is really, really scary, especially out of nowhere. Just play high counts of Countercatcher, having 2 instead of normally 3, sorry, lower counts, and obviously 2 copies of Boss's Orders. The TM Devolution, I think, is really, really strong, especially in this sort of evolving style decks. If I mentioned before, there was a ton of God of War in day 2, and definitely have a lot of sort of Charitards, Dragapults, and all these sort of builds here. You're a lot of spread deck going to the full Monkey Dories, moving around with the damage counters. We can really see this kind of like be the best sort of play around this one. Definitely, I think this is the best sort of spread deck. And having a 3-2-3 lineup to Grimmsnarl, a little bit lower than what we usually see, but we see most people kind of like go with the slowly sort of evolve with the teamed Evo sort of approach before really going for the rare candy. So yeah, those are really only the 2 big sort of decks we've seen, but there are a few other ones as well I want to mention. The top 4 Charizard list, again, going more with Secret Box has kind of become like the main sort of stay for Charizard right now. Still plays the picture as well as also Dustable. Let's also not forget, in Japan right now, there is the Psyduck, and we don't really see if that's going to be affecting us. We obviously saw Charizard really dominate in the last Champions League, getting 3 of the top 4 placements, including also the first place. So we're seeing here the Dusknoir. It's kind of a good sort of way around this one. Now we do see there was a Psyduck around this one, but most Dragapult lists have kind of like veered away from Dusknoir and going more straight Pult with 4 copies of Luminous Energies and having at least a couple copies of Monkey Dory. It's a way to go around this one. Again, this Charizard deck does play the Air Balloon. Giving anything through retreat is so powerful right now. We pretty much say goodbye to Rescue Board completely from the metagame and only really having an Air Balloon, because giving everything to retreat less, and that's pretty much what everything has right now in the meta game, is really, really strong. And Briar as well, I've noticed a lot of decks right now. It's just that really good sort of getting at this additional prize card, especially in late game, as most people go for the 2-2-2 route. So having that sort of Briar really capitalizing that you're behind, and especially you can really like go with this one with the Dusknoir, is really, really strong. And also the Miss Energy to go around the TM Devo, I really, really like. I do saw lots of Jellicent with TM Devo plays and lots of Minus Grimmsnarl. So it's a way for you to actually kind of counteract that as well. Now, we did see Gornigo did get that top 16 placement, actually came 10th. And that kind of made me realize, oh yeah, it is just a top 8 cut and not a top 16. And we can see here does play some of the new cards as well. And I mentioned before, Gornigo is one of the strongest cards right now, decks in the new format. But after seeing Raging Bolt, I would definitely still put Gornigo still up at the top. I play 2 copies of Genesect, which is great. Search your deck for 2 of your evolved sort of special Pokemon, put them into your hand, and then it's great because you can get a Golden Go. I'm also seeing Scizor as well, kind of going as one as a single price attacking option, because why not? Kind of say goodbye to like some of TM Evolution because we have now Genesect. We don't need to worry about this one. There's also 3 copies of Air Balloon, giving your Golden Hose all free retreats. So I really, really like this one. And not worry that something gets trapped in this one, which effectively is exactly how this deck works. Going more copies of Arvin, still playing the likes of Churro and Cypher Mate's Code Breaking. And this build here is a 4 copies of Boss that is very, very heavy. Very, very. There's even 2 copies of Countercatch. There's so much gusto in this deck, but Golden Goat really needs this one. Once it gets all set up, it's basically this boss for game. So I really like this sort of Golden Go build. I really think this is going to be the strongest way to play Golden Go going forward. Now we'll kind of go into some of the other sort of lists here. This top 32 sort of Grimmsnarl build is very similar to exactly the one I just showcased. But I simply play more sort of Darkness Energies, and obviously only 1 less copy of TM Evo and 1 copy more of Rare Candy, which is a nice sort of inclusion as well. But again, we are still seeing how powerful this deck is. We definitely think the winning list is much stronger, but it's good to see a good sort of counteraction as well. But still seeing an air balloon as that main sort of disruptive, so sorry, giving you that free retreat option. Now we did see a rating of top 32, which actually was playing the Owls. So not everyone was not on the Owls. And this build is very, very different. You can see they're going for 4 copies of stadiums, 1 jamming tower, 3 area 0, because they don't really want to get caught out by the Team Rocket's watchtower, which is definitely very prevalent on the stream if you looked at this one. With only 1 copy of the spin, and very low counts of boss's orders by only playing 1 boss's orders, and 1 counter catcher and 1 prime catcher. So effectively, those are only really your 3 gusting effects. Still playing the baby Raging Bolt, but does opt to play 1 copy of the Coridon as well. I really like the sort of build of Raging Bolt. I really think what we saw right now, I'm not like saying that the flightless, the no owl sort of build of Raging Bolt, it really showed how powerful it is. And this one here still is very strong. Most Raging Bolt builds I feel like were still the Noctowl builds. So don't get me wrong saying like, oh, Japan has said goodbye to owls forever. It's still the most popular way to play Raging Bolt. But I wanted to show like Devil's Advocate to see exactly which build is the best for one. And again, you can see here, this one is a lot less consistency in sort of the energy acceleration. So it plays 3 earthen vessels, 1 Crispin, 4 Sardas compared to the winning list, which plays 4 Sardas, 3 Crispin, 4 earthen vessels. You can see exactly which one's stronger. Like removing the owls, you have a lot more space to work with. This Dragapult build got top 32, and the reason I want to talk about this one is we've said pretty much goodbye completely to the Dustmore build. We're going to say which used to be the best way to play this one. I'm a huge sort of advocate for the Dustmore build of Dragapult, but I think it's officially time to say goodbye to this one. And Straight Pult is definitely the best way to forward, especially after seeing how Tor did really well on top 4 at NEIC, and actually got Dot 64 over in Japan as well with a straight pulse or build. So again, something to really think about. We're seeing 4 copies of Lewis energies and the upper Neo energy as the main way to play Dragapult right now. We're seeing definitely more of the boss's orders added in this one. Having Hilda as well, which is an absolutely incredible supporter card for Dragapult. Gaining energy and an evolved Pokemon. You can get Upper Neo energy, you can get Luminous energy, and it's instantly trying to evolve your guys that way. Now, this build does obviously play more energies than what we're used to in Dragapult. If we look at it, it's effectively playing 9 energies when we used to seeing about 6. So it's a lot higher than we used to. But I really still love how Luminous Energy really unlocks like some Monkey Dory, moving around some damage counters to help you in the mirror match in that sort of way. And again, it frees up the deck to have more energies, like with a Raging Bolt, no owls, frees to have more energy search. This one here, no dust more, frees up to have more energies, and actually you're hitting it a lot more and actually streamlining to get these attacks much earlier on. Again, we're not seeing any Team Evos, we're not seeing any rare candy. So this build is meant to be like the rare do lock the opponent from item cards for a couple of turns, eventually build up to having Dragapult, and then get the big cards swinging around. So again, really, really love this on Dragapult build. And if you're testing it in the new format, this is definitely the way to go this one. It's also another sort of build as well, just a little bit different. No Hilda, it's exactly the same amount of energy cards as well, but let's play a Maractus over this one as well. And 3 copies of Brock Scouting. So a lot higher in that sort of capability. I think the Brock Scouting is definitely going to be included because of how scary people are of Gelatin. That's also Badu as well. Jacques is good, but Brock Scouting gets you to play basically a buddy puffin under item lock. So that's exactly why I believe Brock Scouting is going to be the main sort of way forward. No Air Balloon, which is quite interesting because it's good to have a free retreat option for your Dragapults, even though you always are getting rid of 1 NG. People are playing likes of Latias as well. And Blood Moon Earth Luna definitely is kind of like really crap back into Dragapult, especially if you're playing a Monkey Dory. So again, Dragapult right now in the new sort of format is going to be more this sort of build, having the 4 Luminous energies and Upper Neo energy. Me personally, I definitely would really love this build because that does have that Hilda, which works on getting your energy, but also an evolved Pokemon. And we also got to see a Cynthia's Garchomp got top 64. Not anything like too like new cards, but this list is actually wild. It plays obviously 2 copies of Team Rocket's Watchtower, which we did see quite a lot over in NEIC, but also it does play 1 copy of the redeemable ticket. It's one of the cards where only cards which really interacts with prize cards. So in case you prize any key pieces like your Roselias or stuff like that, you can just basically just get them back in the deck and instantly search out from the likes of the Rabbi. So really interesting way to have us play this deck. I really like that this deck actually did well. We also see in Iono's Belly Bolt deck actually loses winning in the day 2 on like in day 1. So it was actually 7-2 and obviously then lost it in end of day one. So it was a really fun to see like some of the oldest Pokemon are still going around this one. No ends. I mean, we don't know the rest of the results. There could be some end Zoroarks, there could be some Hopsashians kind of going around this one. But yeah, really like to see is Cynthia's Garchomp, one of the favorites right now. Very, very powerful owners Pokemon can get that top 64 finish. I also just want to end up with this Gardevoir list, the top 64, and it's definitely very different to one we used to see and talk about just a little bit that we're seeing lots of Jellicent and TM Devo kind of be played around this one, but it's still good to see that this regular Gardevoir is still just as strong. It doesn't need any of the new fancy sort of cards to kind of work around this one. It's just that plain Gardevoir is still very, very strong in the new format. And also Arcadon did obviously do really well in the seniors division, but also got a top 64 and also top 32 over in our format as well. Playing that Hero's Cape, give it a lot of HP. There's also that Team Rocket Surprise Bomb. It's getting an additional more sort of damage counter around this way. So it's also Monkey Dory, so if your lands are new, you can move it on to your opponent's sort of side. And also plays that new Frigid Wasteland. Snowy Landscape, sorry, which obviously puts more damage counters on the field, which interacts you with Midori, which is still very, very, very powerful right now. It's a fun, destructive sort of like Dragon Sword deck. So overall, some of the biggest takeaways I had watching the stream is Raging Bolt really dominated day one. Could it generally be because it was the best of one sort of format, or generally is Raging Bolt just a good sort of play? Now, obviously in Japan, they had to go 8-2. They wanted to play a fast deck and actually go through 10 games straight away. So definitely I think that Raging Bolt is a good sort of contender, but that still continued into the likes of day two and kind of looked like it was the most popular. It appeared a lot on the stream. Looking at results, not really seeing people say deck list, but we're seeing people post about Gardevoir a lot, and most of them did have a 2-2 line of Jellicent with a TM Devo win as well. What I love about TM Devo, especially with Jellicent, because you can lock them out from rare candy plays. There was a really interesting one against in the mirror match of Gardevoir is the TMD, one of the players with the Jellicent, TM Devo'd the opponent with the Gardevoir, goes into the hand, and they just have two Roxas in play. They couldn't get out Gardevoir straight away. They had to manually evolve that, and they couldn't even put the Team Evo because of Jellicent's ability. So I really like that sort of play. We actually could see that be the main sort of play about how Gardevoir could be a bit more destructive. Very timely sort of Jellicent. So you're not just an item locking one, but they really work around this one. Still had Scream Tail, still Drifloon, so it's a good other attacking option. And straight Dragapult is definitely the most popular build. One of the stream, we saw one Dustwall sort of build, but we didn't really see them activated that much. But we didn't see that many Psyducks as well. So maybe people are just respecting right now that Dragapult's build right now is much stronger. Playing the full Luminous Energies is definitely the way forward of one. Much more sort of energy sort of heavy, but also I think it could be the best sort of way to play Dragapult going forward. So definitely overall, looking ahead, it's both definitely better right now without Owls, and I generally think so. It's really fun to see this deck obviously thrive right now. It changes so much right now, and it's good to see we're kind of seeing that innovation right now. People said goodbye to Owls, and they won, being 17-0, not losing a single game, which is actually unheard of for a very big risk to us, especially in such a big, powerful event like over in Japan. Generally, it's just good in Gardevoir. We've seen it kind of like pop up a fair bit, and most Gardevoir let's play, especially from the top one, were playing that Jellicent. So I definitely think it's a really good conclusion. Because also, will we be in the Mega EX format? Now, this is going to be out in August right now, so we've got a couple months away, and we can see a little bit about this before Worlds, but that's generally got me thinking, will we see a lot of these Megas appear right now, personally, looking at the four Megas for reveal, all of them I feel have a ton of potential to kind of like really shake up the metagame completely and really skyrocket Gardevoir straight right back up to the top where it always is. So next week, we're going to look at some of the more sort of tournament structure, what's happening over Japan next week, as well as also breaking down the remaining of the list. Hopefully, we'll see most of the format as well. Top 16, some other sort of top 32 sort of lists as well, some unique ones. So next week's going to be a big one. Look at the remaining sort of lists as well as also any new cards got revealed. This will say thank you so much for watching this one. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. What do you think of the Japan Challenges? How did you think the structure really worked? And what are your thoughts about Raging Bolt really being the biggest almost in back right now over in Japan, especially after this tournament? My name is TCG, and I'll be back next week for another video. Bye for now.